a backdrop, it is time for the final pro rounds here at the U.S. Nationals. Pro stock is already on the pad. Larry Morgan versus Bob Glidden. We heard Larry Morgan mention being beaten at his home track. That was Columbus, Ohio, the Spring Nationals. Don Garlits, he is still smarting from that.
Yes, he is. And, you know, the word in the pits is that Glidden owns Indianapolis. And so you can bet that Morgan would surely like to put him away here and get revenge for that loss at Columbus.
And I don't think the crowd's feelings play a part in this, because you'll find as many people from Larry Morgan's home state of Ohio as you will Bob Glidden's home state right here in Indiana. They travel here en masse.
Well, the announcer just polled the crowd just a few moments ago, and they were even for both cars.
Just before Glidden fired the Ford Pro, Paul talked with him.
Bob,
Hey.
could be history here. What do you think?
I'll tell you, Paul, every time we go down the racetrack, it seems like it's history, but this is a very important race for us. You know, you people talk about the 75th win. That's not the most important thing for us. This is a very important challenge for us in the Winston Points chase, and it would be very beneficial for us to win this round.
Well, there are a couple of thousand fans sitting out there, and all of them cheering for you. Best of luck. Number 75 may be coming.
Thanks, Paul.
But if anyone ever had a real good shot of beating Bob Glidden in the finals, maybe even taking the favorites role, it's got to be Larry Morgan, Don.
Well, there's only 1/100th of a second separating these two cars, a 739 to a 740. That could easily be made on the starting line. And remember, Morgan has been brilliant today.
Absolutely. And with the sun setting, there is no difference in these lanes, especially not for pro stocks. They've got maybe 1,200 horsepower. The Nitro car's 4,000. They're easier to control on maybe a bit of an off racetrack. Everyone is on their feet. It is Glidden with a slight advantage. Morgan starts to assert himself. The Glidden boys cheer on their father, but not enough. Larry Morgan has won the U.S. Nationals. Incredible.
It was one close race, but it wasn't to be. Still, you looked like you enjoyed it.
Yes, anytime you get to the finals of the Nationals, it's got to be enjoyable. And Larry Morgan has had a great weekend. He's a good driver. He's a good competitor, and we wish him well.
And number 75 is just around the corner.
And it's still around the corner, but there's lots of races left.
All right, Etta Glidden.
One terrific lady. Don Garlits, let's analyze this again in replay.
Well, Bob Glidden takes a definite starting line advantage over the brilliant starting techniques that Morgan had been using all day long. Very surprising. But the Oldsmobile engine in Morgan's car begins to show the true power in the middle of the race course and drives around the Ford. And Bob Glidden, even though he ran 187 miles an hour, could not make up the difference.
Larry Morgan has picked the granddaddy of them all as his first national event victory. What a drive.
I'll tell you, I told you before I was going to wear Glidden out here because he made me look bad at home. And I'll tell you, the only way I could get back at him was here.
7:36 to close it out.
Woo, that's good. I'll tell you what, all the guys at the shop, Jimmy Oliver, Dale Ike, Andy Magnuson, Gary Pearman, especially my crew chief, Tom Roberts, Dick Aylesberger, my wife, Pinella, Castro, Oldsmobile, I couldn't be any happier for them. Without them, I wouldn't be here, and I am so happy to be here.
And we are very happy for you. Even though Glidden's the hometown boy, you should have heard the crowd roar.
I'm happy. I am really happy.
Oh, boy, what a victory. What a sweet one. He's worked so hard for it.
Going to be a lot of celebrating for Larry Morgan, the crew and his fans at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Don?
Going into the finals here at the 35th U.S. Nationals, the weather has turned around and given us a real break. It's real cool, no wind. These nitro motors will just fly in this kind of weather. Plus, it means the track is cool. That means the ETs can be better. Funny car, Perdome needs to back up that national record of 5:17. If he does that, I don't think Larson can run with him. Now, the top fuelers, that's another question. 5:04 for Gwynn, a 5:01 for LaHaye. Either car could run 4 seconds. We may have a side-by-side 4-second run, but I think that tiny little margin of performance goes to LaHaye, and I'm going to give him the nod.
So those are Don's picks. The final rounds in Funny Car and Top Fuel hold so much promise. They work in the LaHaye pit. Final touches on his car.
No run in Funny Car Eliminator, the most violent race cars in all of motorsports, here at the biggest drag race of the year, the 35th annual U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. I'm Steve Evans, along with Paul Page and Big Daddy Don Garlits. And there, with the engine change completed, is the Bruce Larson car, Don.
And I'll bet this is the first time that Prudhomme will ever be being cheered for by Bernstein in the pits.
Oh, absolutely. Bernstein desperately needs for Prudhomme to beat Larson to prevent him from earning any more points.
Mike Clover gets Prudhomme back into place. It's been 12 years since Prudhomme has seen a victory here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. For Larson, well, he scored his first Nationals victory in a career that spans over 3 decades just last year at the Cajun Nationals. So he certainly has a lot on the line here against the great Don Prudhomme.
After what we saw with Mike Dunn and Don Prudhomme, I don't think you're going to see the Snake very selective about who stages first.
Yeah, Snake is not going to be trying to run Larson's race. He's going to stage when his car is ready to go.
And they are both in. It's a beautiful start. The nitro flames looking at the fiberglass body. It is Don Prudhomme. A dream weekend for the Snake. 5:27 defeats Larson's 5:37.
Like a 5:27, he's done it again at the U.S. Nationals.
It would have been nice to set the record, but we'll take the sweep. We're real happy. I can't say enough. It's been a long week. I'd like to thank the crew. We got a great crew. And Dana Kimmel, Larry Dixon Jr., Troy Tronson, all the guys, Curtis Dipple, all the guys that helped this week, people from the rear end company, US Gear. They made a set of rear end gears for us to let us run these kind of lap times this week.
Historic time. Maybe it's the last win in a funny car for him.
Well, there's some races left. We can do some more winning this year, and we're going to go to Texas to race, so maybe we'll see some more teens down there in Texas.
We look forward to it. Congratulations.
Well, that's what you want, Don Gerlitz, a crew chief who is never satisfied, who always wants more.
That's right. As we watch this replay of this start, we can see that Larson was getting his act together. They make a beautiful start. They come out side by side, where, you know, generally all day long, Larson had been late in driving around these guys, but he knew he wasn't going to drive around the Snake. It was, in fact, the Snake driving around Larson at mid-track, and he went on to take this win in grand style.
It's been a long time, maybe never, have we seen a funny car performance like this man put on this weekend. You won in your own style, a throat-ripping, back-breaking performance.
Well, thank you, Steve. I'll tell you, I owe it all to Skull Pontiac and my crew, Mike Clover, Dana, Larry, all the guys. Troy did a tremendous job. You know, we've been struggling in the first part of the year, and to come here to Indy, it's been a special race for me since 1965. First time I won it.
There was no messing around on the starting line this time. Larson went right up and staged. In fact, he overstaged.
Yes, he did. But I knew he was going to overstage and push the light, and I just did the best I could do and try and get off as good as I could with him because he's an awfully good driver.
Can you look back now and believe how flawless this weekend has been?
It's just been wonderful, and I don't even know what the AT was. Can you tell me?
27, does it matter?
Oh, that's great. It's just really running consistent. I wish we could have set the national record while we were here. We were hoping on the last run we'd do it, but there's going to be more races.
And to win the U.S. Nationals in what might be your last appearance in a funny car special.
Yeah, that's what makes it really, really special, because I am going to Top Fuel, and this is where I started out, Indy here, you know, in 65 with a Top Fuel car, and to end my career in a funny car at this race is great. And once again, I just got to thank my sponsor, Skull.
Our best.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Look out, Top Fuel. Snake's on his way.
You can certainly tell the importance of the U.S. Nationals by the emotion that the Snake is displaying here for us.
Well, a lot of emotion about to take place on the starting line. The final combatants, the kings of the sport, Top Fuel dragsters, and two teams who come to the starting line with total confidence. We've seen it all day long with Dick LaHaye and with Darrell Gwynn. And I have to agree with something Don Gerlitz said a bit earlier. There is the potential here for the first side-by-side 4-second run. Earlier in the day, Paul Page found a very interesting story that relates to Darrell Gwynn.
Well, Steve, as well you know in the pits, you get approached a lot of times by people who will hand you their business card because they have some concern about drag racing that they'd like to talk about. Well, it's happened to me. This is the business card by the Chief Executive Officer and the President of the Darrell Gwynn Fan Club. Well, let's meet that top executive now. Robbie Franks, this is your organization. How come you're so interested?
Well, I just was watching a race, the Winter Nationals, 87 Winter Nationals, and I saw Darrell run, and I just picked him.
Why was he special for you? He's a neat guy, I know.
I don't know. I can't remember.
It just kind of turned on for you.
Yep.
How many members of this organization now?
Around 100.
Do you have a newsletter? Do you get together?
We're working on that now.
And what about you and your future career? Are you going to run fan clubs all your life, or maybe you're going to run a top fuel dragster?
Probably a top field dragster.
All right. This may be one of the stars of the future, Robbie Franks. Steve?
And Robbie comes all the way from Lake Elsinore, California, to root for the man from Florida, Daryl Gwynn, in the far lane. Big Daddy, your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at the two cars, and they're so evenly matched. We have the potential for a 4-second run, as Steve said earlier. Look at Jerry Gwynn, how important this race is. You can see it in his face. He wants to win. But I think that LaHaye still has that slight advantage on the starting line and to the end of the race. He just runs so good today.
And LaHaye is off the mark first, but has problems. Daryl Gwynn, 8 rocket ships down that far lane, has won the U.S. Nationals at 5:04, 280 miles per hour. The crew is delirious. A fireworks show for Daryl Gwynn as he circles at the end of the racetrack.
Just goes to show you can never make decisions in drag racing. Anybody can win.
Ken, that's a dancing crew, but you've done it. The U.S. Nationals title is yours with a 5:04.
We couldn't be any happier. Everything was perfect. We just ran it hard enough to try and get down that lane. I mean, we were afraid of the lane, and we not tried to be stellar. We just wanted to go down the drag strip.
Well, it got the job done. Congratulations. You got it. Daryl Gwynn takes the U.S. Nationals.
And, Paul, we're told that Dick LaHaye had a supercharger drive failure. He definitely left first, Don.
Yes, and the advantage that LaHaye took at the starting line, it would have only taken a 5:07 for him to win the race. But that only counts in horseshoes. Gwynn won it with 3 5:04s in a row.
3 times Daryl Gwynn has been disappointed in the final round at the U.S. Nationals. Not this afternoon.
At the U.S. Nationals, you've already seen the pros. Top alcohol dragster Tom Conway, Pat Austin in top alcohol funny car, Joe Fica in comp. Super stock Jim Boudreau, stock RJ Sled, super gas Gary Sheenan, and John Myers in pro stock motorcycle. This is Paul Page for Don Garlitz and Steve Evans. So long from the 35th U.S. Nationals.